Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacey here on the Money Matters Radio Network. We're joined in studio by a very special guest today, Michael Carucci of Sotheby's International in Boston. How you doing, Michael?
Very well, thank you.
So we asked you to talk about, asked you to come on the show today so we could talk about what's going on in and around the city. A lot of changes out there. One of the things we were talking about was the new move to the live, work, play type environments as opposed to everybody moving out to the suburbs. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your take on that?
Well, we've seen remarkable growth in the urban sector with some of these well-known developments. Millennium Towers would be one, and almost every major luxury development in the greater Boston area has had remarkable success in in both their occupancy and their pre-sales. And I think one of the reasons for this is that there is a major exodus going on right now into the cities, like you said, Bob, the live, work, play environment where people want the convenience. They want to live, work, and play in and around the same proximity of where they live.
Right.
I think they just don't want traffic.
You know
like
what?
Getting into Boston
is brutal.
Horrible.
And it really doesn't matter what time you go. I left Boston last week at 10 o'clock one night, and I still ended up sitting on the Mass Pike for about 35 minutes trying to get through construction.
Way to get there.
Yeah.
You got to live there or don't go there.
I can't imagine, because my commute's not that bad now. It's 15 minutes, so I don't really have a problem with it. But for those people that actually live in my neighborhood out in Bolton, going into Boston every day, if they don't leave by 5:30 in the morning, it's like an hour and 45 minute 2-hour ride for them. I can't imagine, though, getting out of bed, like literally rolling out of bed, getting ready for work, and then just like going downstairs and walking 2 blocks to work. That would be that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's the value of your time.
Right.
And I think it's become a little bit easier because of cell phones, because people can actually, hopefully you're hands-free. And, but commuting is a burden sometimes.
Yeah.
Hours and hours. I mean, if you cumulatively added up the number of hours in one person's lifetime on the road.
Yeah. Especially if you're commuting from the suburbs to Boston every day.
Yeah, it's fairly substantial.
But then on the other hand, what are you looking at for prices? I mean, are they mostly luxury developments that are these live, work, play things going on in the city, or are there some more moderately priced units?
Well, Bob, you touch on an important factor, and that is that most of the new construction that you're seeing here is of the luxury category, and that is in part because of, one, the land cost, and two, obviously the construction cost. And I think that, as we discussed earlier, you're going to hear more and more about workforce housing moving forward, and workforce housing obviously is for the working class. It's we've got a pretty good handle on affordable housing. Of course, that can always use improvement, and then of course you've got market rate housing and luxury housing. But I think where there is a gap that both Governor Baker on the state level and Marty Walsh on the local level are starting to address, and that is workforce housing, housing for the middle class. And you're going to see, companies like Wynn and Beacon that are going to be focusing on this type of housing moving forward, and it is needed.
Right. Are there any parts of Boston that you'd still consider decent neighborhoods that have a lot of middle class people living in them, or have they all been more or less redeveloped into luxury housing?
The perimeter seems to be getting pushed out further and further.
Yeah.
I mean, Dorchester is extremely hot right now. South Boston's been hot for a number of years.
And those used to be the places that were affordable, right?
That's correct. Right.
Yeah. I remember when Dorchester, if you said it, people used to get shivers down their spine thinking about going through Dorchester at night. Now you can't buy a place there anymore.
There was an offer this morning. I think it was maybe over $700 a square foot in Dorchester in the Ashmont area. And you're thinking, this is insanity.
Yeah. People used to get killed there at night for being outside their houses after 8 o'clock at night. I mean, it's crazy. Now, granted, that was probably, 20 years ago that it had a bad name, but it's amazing how much things have changed. What about Chelsea? I'm hearing that the prices in Chelsea are starting to go up now as a result of everything else getting pricey.
Well, look at its proximity to Boston. It's literally right over the Tobin Bridge. You've got some great architecture in Chelsea. So it wouldn't surprise me. There has been some major acquisitions in that town. Jay Ash actually did a fantastic job in Chelsea. He's now, I believe he's now in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
That is a town to keep an eye on. East Boston. We have a closing at the end of the month, Clippership Wharf, which
Mhm.
will probably be the largest East Boston development that we've been working on for a number of years. It's actually been in contract for 3 years. And that's going to be phenomenal housing also. So I would, Chelsea, East Boston, all markets to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. And the one in East Boston that you're talking about, is that luxury housing or is that more moderate priced?
It's mixed use. It's
Mhm.
going to be apartments, condominiums, some retail.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So it's happening all over Boston. It's not just limited to downtown.
No.
Wow. What about in outlying cities? Or is it predominantly around Boston, or are you starting to see that in other places as well?
We're starting to see a softening, which also could be an opportunity for young families. I think that a lot of your bedroom communities are going to start to see some price adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
As you see more and more people coming into the city, it's leaving more and more inventory in the suburbs. And
Mhm.
we're having a inventory shortage in the city, but there are
Mhm.
some bedroom communities that are not having that type of problem. In some cases, there's an oversupply of inventory in certain towns.
Really? Right outside the city, or are you talking much further out?
Within 45 minutes.
Yeah. Because the pricier enclaves, the Winchesters, Waylands, those type of things, those are still pretty competitive, or are you seeing a drop off there as well?
We're seeing some price adjustments going on.
Wow. That's
Those
surprising.
towns are nuts. Because I was showing properties for a friend of mine looking to buy in Winchester,
Mm-hmm.
and for $700,000, you get like one floor of a 3-family that's been converted to condos. It's nuts. Nuts. I told him not to buy a house.
$700,000 for a converted 3-family?
That's what they call a condo in Winchester.
Right.
Wow.
And then you're hearing over and over again now, rent is the new own. There's a lot of the younger generations, they prefer to rent instead of buying
Mm.
for a variety of reasons.
Although I saw some good articles a couple months back that said that it seems like once people get to the point where they're settling down and getting married, starting a family, that it seems like home buying is back on the radar again, which is good for all of us in real estate.
Marriage and divorce keeps us busy.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, you can't live at home forever. And I mean, some of the
Exactly.
rentals you see, I have friends that rent in the city, and one of them has like an 800 square foot place at Avalon for like $3,000 a month, and it doesn't even include a parking spot.
We just had a client that unfortunately got had to relocate because of a fire in his home, and our budget was $25,000 a month in rent, and we had a hard time finding a quality apartment for
$25,000 a month.
That's
It
nuts.
sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Was it just there was nothing available, or the
There's
stuff was?
less than 5 or 6 things to look at.
Wow. I mean, what do you get for $25,000 a month in Boston? I would love to know.
It's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice.
I'm guessing it's probably more than 800 square feet.
Rents. Rents are typically between $3 and $5 a square foot for something nice. So take 2,000 square foot at $5 a foot.
10 grand a month. Wow. Well, 2,000 square feet's a decent amount of space, especially for a rental, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good rental.
Yeah. What about one of the things we talked about, I think last time you were on, was there was a lot of speculative apartment building going back a few years, and a lot of that stuff is starting to come online now. Are those rentals getting?
Well, back when they were getting permitted and financed, they couldn't get them financed as condos because
Right.
there's this 3 to 5 year curve between the idea till it's actually on the ground.
Yeah.
So what you probably saw happening was conceptually they were being built as apartments, and but now Inkblock is the classic example where they were built as apartments because the market is so hot, they're now coming out as condominiums.
Oh, so they're just changing it.
Yeah,
That's a
they're
change in the
changing
legal
the
work.
use.
Okay,
Yeah, they're
I
changing
gotcha.
the use. But Roy McDowell just announced a great apartment project in Revere that's going to be built as apartments. So, there's still are developments out there that are going to be built as apartments, and if they do a decent job, and they usually do, they'll fill up.
Nice. What do you think, because you live in the city, right,
I do,
Michael?
yeah.
What do you think about the casino? Where did they finally decide to put it? Charlestown or just
Everett.
over the line? Everett?
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to do to traffic in Boston, getting in and out of there?
Well, Sullivan Square is already horrendous for
Mhm.
traffic, and I don't see it getting any better. I mean, I think that jobs are always important.
Mhm.
I think that Steve Wynn does a very good job at what he does. I'm not a particular fan of casinos myself, but I'm certainly a fan of jobs, and
Yeah.
there's 4,000 jobs, permanent jobs, that will come as a result of it. And I think if you have to have casinos, then we're probably in a better spot having somebody like Wynn run them.
Right. But I guess the question becomes, how are you going to get there? I mean, you were just saying, Sullivan Square is pretty much the only or the main way in and out of where the casino is going to be, right?
You know, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Now, it's going to be like a mega casino, right, with hotels and everything else surrounding it?
I don't know the deal specific size, but it's sizable.
Yeah.
And I just by coincidence happened to have been grew up right outside of Sullivan Square, which is the only way there.
Yeah.
Route 99, I think, is the road, and it's difficult,
Yeah.
and I don't see it getting much better.
Be interesting. Have they broken ground yet?
No, actually, the mayor of Somerville just filed an environmental lawsuit to put that could have as much as a 1-year delay, and the Wynn people reacted quite strongly. They stopped a job fair that was scheduled, and I think there's $600 million earmarked for the state. There's another 4,000 jobs at stake, and let's just say there's political maneuvering going on right now between the state and the mayor of Somerville.
Yeah, I can imagine. So going back to this live, work, play stuff, Stacey, you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago now. Lowell's starting to see some of the same type of developments, aren't they? I mean, Lowell all of a sudden seems like it's on fire again.
Yeah, I think everywhere is.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of apartment units, we have a new apartment complex coming up in Hudson even, which is right down the street from our studios here, with 144
144
units. Yep.
Where in Hudson, do you know?
It's a mill space.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
Wow. It's amazing. It's just, you see all these mill buildings that have sat vacant forever. Not forever, but last 30, 40, 50 years. To actually see them being put back to good use is really good, especially when you see what happens in the towns around those areas where they were typically, the pit of the town. Now they seem to be the start of the town's revitalization.
Generally, they have great bones, though. When you look at mills and you look at the infrastructure of them, you get a good architect involved, and they have good bones. You can take a mill or a school, for that matter, an old school, and you have a lot to work with there.
Yeah, well, back then they were built to last forever, so it's amazing some of these things that are empty for 30, 40 years, they're still standing and still in relatively decent shape. Although I imagine there's a lot of money that goes into converting them for residential use.
It's expensive.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these things, are they the ones you're talking about, Stacey? Are those going to be affordable housing units or
Not affordable housing and not luxury, so workforce.
workforce?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hudson's not that far outside the city.
Right.
Not an easy commute, though.
Any commute to the city, I think, is
Terrible.
terrible.
I know. Actually, you could live in Wayland or Winchester, and you're still going to have a terrible ride in, aren't
Oh,
you?
definitely. Even from Winchester.
Yeah.
The other day, just going from like Medford to Boston is crazy.
And didn't you get 12 parking tickets?
Yeah.
12?
I'm the queen of parking tickets in Boston.
How are you getting parking? How'd you get 12
I'm going to get a
parking
condo
tickets?
in Boston. It's going to come with a parking permit, and that alone is going to save me
I was going to say, and you're still going to get
Thousands.
parking tickets.
thousands.
And I believe a speeding ticket,
And
correct?
I got a speeding ticket yesterday.
Yes.
One speeding ticket. That 12 parking tickets was since January 1st, though, I'll say that.
That's 2 months you got 12 parking tickets?
Yeah.
I thought you were using that new company that has
It's gone. Lux. It's
yeah.
gone.
What happened?
They moved out of Boston.
Stole
That's
too many
why
cars?
I didn't get any parking tickets into last year.
Yeah, you said you basically just pull up, they take your car, and then bring it back when you're ready to
I'm so bummed
go.
out. It's still available in New York City, but they pulled out of Boston.
Do you know why? It didn't work?
I can't even believe, like, just what I spent on them alone. They should have been able to keep it going. but
Yeah. Well, that's too
crazy.
bad.
Did you ever use it?
I've never even heard
Oh,
of it.
well, you don't have to drive in Boston. But basically, Lux was an app. And, like, as I was pulling into Starro Drive, I would order my valet. And no matter where I pulled up, like in front of Starbucks, a little guy in a blue...
Little guy?
A guy.
A leprechaun.
It was like that. He was in, like, he would come up on a skateboard or a scooter and take my car.
Michael, when she first told me this, I thought she was kidding around.
And it was... And $5 an hour to park.
I believe my
don't
first
know.
question was, did they give you back your car?
Where did they put the car?
I don't know, but I always
Maybe
got
that
it
was the
back.
problem.
And then I'd go into the restaurant. Then when I want to leave, give them 10 minutes notice, and my car's back.
I mean, where could you park?
And it was $5 an hour for
That's
parking.
what I don't
You can't even park in a
understand.
garage for $5 an hour.
You can't park anywhere in
No,
Boston
it was
for
so
$5
awesome.
an hour.
It was so
What-
awesome.
What you don't know is they took the car around the corner, got a ticket anyway, and 2 months later,
You'll
Wait,
get
how
it.
did I get
That's
that
what-
ticket?
Well, my suggestion was maybe they were just taking your car and using it as an Uber vehicle while you were at your appointment.
that's efficiency.
That's the
right?
only way to turn a profit at $5 an hour.
I just read about some new service now. You get to you can lease your car out, and
Really?
yeah, like
Oh,
it's like
really?
Airbnb, only you do it with your car.
Oh,
Wow.
I just read about one that does it with dogs. So if you can't have it,
Aw.
if you can't have a dog and you want to
Aw.
share your dog, you can. It's like
Aw.
a app that you can share your dog with people.
Are we going to share everything now? I mean, where is this going to end?
Share your kid. You're like,
I know.
if you want, you can pick my kid up from school today.
Make her dinner. You can take the night off.
Oh boy, we could go on with this.
Yes, you could. You could, but that's actually about it. We've actually got to take a quick commercial break. Michael, I want to thank you for joining us on the show today. Great to have you again.
Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.